Welcome back to Let's Talk Racing Ireland. I'm your host, Harrison Paul. Today we're going to talk about Kylian Mbappé and how he addressed the far right, their soon to be rise to power within France. They're trying to move a little bit higher, but I think they won an election in France. In my last video, I discussed this with a good friend of mine, Dylan. But I just want to dive into a little bit more today and just discuss really kind of Mbappe's bravery. That's something that I wanted us to sit down and chat about. And my other video prior to this one, I'll play the clip again here. I spoke about this clip of Kylian Mbappe and his courage and his strength, and how important and vital that is if we are going to identify as European Africans. I'm very against it, and a huge chunk of me is against identifying as that and abandoning our homeland. But then when we, I said this in my video as well, the one prior, you should go and watch it. When we take into consideration, you know what I mean, that, they went and became settlers in Africa and South Africa, and to this day identify South African. White South Africans never at any point, I'll put some images on the screen of some white South Africans, never at any point do you feel like these people have to fight or earn their identity or their, and it's not right to, for these neocolonial reasons, have African children move to Europe and completely identify with the land in which they were raised in, and then at the very same time they go through an identity crisis when they face that rejection. And I think that it would be giving, a lot of the racists and a lot of the people here, I guess, giving them their way, where they get to, develop Western world off of, the detriment of Africa. And then when Africans come here, because of how you've destroyed the rest of the world, and colonized it, and pauperized it, then you say, oh no, but you're not one of us either. And I don't think that's a good way to go about it. And I really think that the way we are going to actually get Africa back on its feet, actually, this is the road to do so. I think we have to teach these people who we are up close. I've been sitting down and really, really, meditating on this subject, because I'm trying to understand what is the best way. Is the best way to say, I don't care, I'm African at the end of the day. You can have your France, or you can have your England, or you can have your Ireland? Or is it best to say, and of course the rest of European countries, I know they're definitely going through just as tough times as we are, but is it best to say, you know what, I don't care anyway, I am not, whatever European country. But I realize, that is also giving them what they want. That is also saying, okay, fine, I will be a bastard child, or, excuse my French, I don't know if that's I'm not using that in a bad term, but I said a bastard child, a homeless child. And that's kind of where we found ourselves being, So what I'm trying to say here today, brothers and sisters, is we have to find the right mentality to have when we have come and become Europeans, as per se. And I said that clip of Mbappe really does touch me, because here he is with the president of France. If only his ancestors could see him today, standing so boldly and so much courage. It looks like the president of France is the one who is, pleased to stand next to Kylian Mbappe. He looks like the president of France himself, and that's vital. That type of demeanor here in the West, guys, is vital. It's the only demeanor I feel that doesn't bring shame to our ancestors. How do we represent and die to represent people who killed our ancestors? In many ways, it doesn't make sense. How do we forget the burning building in which is, our home, Africa? How do we forget that and cling to what will bring us, I don't know, success or whatever you may call it? And I even addressed in my prior video how there's been a lot of reasons why we've clung to European culture, European identity. It's been it's helped us. I don't want to say vindicated us, but it has freed us from having to identify a lot of the times growing up anyway with the terrible narrative that is on being an African. So the easiest way, the easy ticket out is to identify with I'm Irish or I'm whatever. And it's just been a self. We need to have a self evaluation in order to get to the bottom of that. And I think we creep out every generation, well, not generation, but every year, every decade, we find ourselves creeping out of that and becoming more proud of parts. And I say parts, not we're not. I don't believe Africans are fully proud of our Africanness, the good and the bad. The real embracing our identity. I believe we sanitize it, or don't want to say sanitize it. We commercialize it, and then we feel great about it, right? But one of the great things that I loved about this, again, Mbappe, that proves why I'm a huge fan of this guy. Anybody who watches English football anyway understands that you don't talk about politics in a press conference. That's one thing you don't do in football. You do not talk about politics in a press conference. I could not imagine Raheem Sterling going and making a statement about the far right within England rising to power. I couldn't imagine any literal English player thinking that he's going to get up there and speak negatively about the politics going on in the country. Just wouldn't happen. I could never mind Ireland. This is England. Never mind Ireland. It's impossible, unseen, unheard of. Never a case. For Mbappe to have the courage to go on there and do that reminded me again why I'm such a huge fan of this guy.
Je pense qu'on est dans un moment crucial dans l'histoire de notre pays. Il faut savoir faire la part des choses et avoir le sens des priorités. L'euro a une place très importante dans nos carrières, mais je pense qu'on est des citoyens avant tout, et je pense qu'on ne doit pas être déconnecté du monde qui nous entoure, et encore moins quand ça concerne notre pays. Voilà. On sait qu'on est dans un moment très important de l'histoire de notre pays, une situation inédite. Donc c'est pour ça que j'ai vraiment envie de m'adresser à tout le peuple français, et surtout à la jeune génération. Je pense qu'on est une génération qui peut faire la différence. Aujourd'hui, on voit très bien que les extrêmes sont aux portes du pouvoir, et on a l'opportunité de choisir le futur de notre pays. Et c'est pour ça que j'appelle à tous les jeunes d'aller voter, de vraiment prendre conscience de l'importance de la situation. J'espère que ma voix va porter un maximum, parce que le pays, on a besoin de s'identifier à ce pays. On a besoin de s'identifier à nos valeurs, qui sont des valeurs de mixité, de tolérance, de respect. Et ça, c'est indéniable. Et je fais confiance à tous les Français. Je sais qu'il y a pas mal de jeunes qui se disent oui, mais une voix va rien changer. Au contraire, chaque voix compte. Et c'est pas à négliger. Et j'espère vraiment qu'on va faire le bon choix. Et j'espère qu'on sera encore fiers de porter ce maillot le 7.
He is greatly representing us as black people, as a young black brother who can throw his weight around and not feel like he has to apologize for being successful, or apologize for being great, apologize for being larger than life. He is that, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. I think really, I love Vinicius Jr. I think Vinicius could take a page out of his book, because I know that it's tough. I know it's not easy, but one thing I'll let you know, the fans gonna cry. Never Mbappe. And if he does have a moment like that, well, it'll be tough. But I guess that comes from being mixed as well. We have got to be up straight with that. You sometimes when you got a bit of that privilege living inside of you, you know what I mean. It does something different. We've known this. Even mixed race girls can tell you their experience to, let's say, darker skinned women has been different, right? And so that obviously may have an effect on things, but still, I think Mbappe is doing a great job still for a mixed race boy, and mixed race boy who really, really is considered more black than he is mixed, right? So I think he's doing great. But listen, catching an English player talking about politics on a press conference of the national duty is absolutely unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. And with that, I'm going to tell a story that actually hurt me quite recently. This story really, really disappointed me. So I cannot say the person, because I was given secret information. I was given, information on this story. And basically what happened was, there's a person who represents Ireland for sports. This person, I promised the person I wouldn't say the name. This person has been getting hate online. And what happened? There was obviously my people who I'm close with, obviously other revolutionaries who spend their time posting and fighting for black people at every chance we get. This brother of mine was posting about this said person who was in the news at this time. And out of all the hatred this sports person was getting, they decided to go and DM on Twitter the very person that was defending them and ask them, can you please take the post down, as I want to just focus on the positive. Thank you. Now, I'm thinking about the fact that this person obviously is a big star at this, big star, and they took the time out of their day to silence the fight. I'm going to put one of my favorite pictures on the screen. Yeah. This is why I brag about the African Americans. There's African Americans, and then there's us. There's African Americans, and then there's us. Guys, I don't know what to say. I'm immensely disappointed, hurt. But I understand, because I know the person is quite young. But a lot of people ask me and want to wonder, what are you doing this for? The mindset around black identity and self-determination is absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Black people are prepared to throw out any struggle we need to go through in order to maintain our self-determination, in order to receive that acceptance and that comfort that we get, and that assimilation that we are putting ourselves through. We are really a disappointment. I a lot of times feel so I woke up when I seen that message. I got it from my friend on WhatsApp, and I woke up that morning. I was so disheartened. I had my breakfast, and I was just like, God, you're fighting for our people. I think there's a famous quote from an African revolutionary I'm going to put up on the screen, and it says, I have to fight, to fight off the Westerners. I have to fight off the white man with one hand, because the other hand is fighting off other Africans. It's like, I gave this analogy to a few people. Now I'm going to give this analogy again on the show. Think of this garden that we've created, guys, and we've worked so hard to work on this current garden that we have in Europe. And, it's a small garden, right? And let's say it's a small, I don't know, we'll call it a cottage, or, cabbage garden, where you can sell, you can eat, from your own backyard. You got, spinach, everything there. Boom, brilliant. Small little place, but it works. It does the job. And I understand as black people that we fought so hard for this said garden, small and just. And after my understanding of going abroad and living in America and getting that taste of what black life actually felt like in places like that, and black determination felt like, and what the presence of black people really feels like, and then coming back to Ireland after 4 or 5 years of being away, and coming back and feeling that energy again, feeling where we stood and the temperature, and I was like, oh no, this doesn't work. And that's what inspired me to go on this journey. And I'm now uprooting this said garden, and I'm like, and we're so attached to that small, like, oh, my flower beds, my bed, and we find ourselves being frustrated with the people who want to uproot and go and okay, I know it's not a big garden. I know I could stretch. I know I could do some more. I know I could, if I get a conversion, I could probably even provide enough, cabbage for Tesco, and probably sell enough there, but for, and be a provider. But, just yeah. I know that I know there's a little bit sometimes raise them. Oh, I know they small. I know I set standards way, but, and better yet, then we've also indoctrinated ourselves to celebrate. And look at this though. Look, this is great though. This is, And I don't blame them, because it was only when I moved out. It was only when I moved out and came back in and saw it from a different view, I said, this is appalling. It's disgusting. It's shameful what we live with. It is absolutely shameful what we live with here in Europe. And now you find African people becoming frustrated with the very people, like my friend, like myself. And I received this at a time where they don't get, like, what? Like, aren't you happy with the garden? Just ignore the fact that is the possibilities of branching out and becoming greater, or just ignore the limitations on the garden. Just look at this. Look at this thing. If you look at it long enough, this tiny little cottage or cabbage little farm, if you look at it, stare at it long enough, and don't look to the left, don't look to the right, you know what? It's quite big, actually. Then you have someone saying, wow, but no, if we knock down this wall, and if we press back this, and we disrupt some more, I actually think we could actually create a big enough farm to be a supplier. Oh, you're unreasonable. Oh, would you go away with that? And you find the very people you're fighting with. And why I love Black Americans is because they are always looking for a reason to fight. They are always looking for a reason to let people know why we are not going to compromise on what we have set out to get. I'm going to put this picture back up on the screen because I love this picture. I absolutely love this picture. These are the people I study with a close eye. You know, someone asked me today, a friend of mine asked me today, can you send me all the videos that you watched that have made you the person you are today? I said, it's been a long 4 years. You know, I don't head into documentaries after interviews, watching interviews of Huey P. Newton, watching documentaries of the Black Panther movement, just watching the mentality of these relentless people, watching how they organize, and also watching, it's another thing, it's always crazy to also see when you watch the interviewer. Till this very day, you'll find the same tone where the interviewers will be talking to this, you know, African or revolutionary and saying, you know, don't you think you're just, you know, we have made so much progress. Can you imagine that? The picture will literally be black and white. You know, black and white, colors are black and white, meaning that's how old it is. And the person is using the exact same phrases they used then as used now. That's what inspires me to keep going. Because I say, Harrison, they're saying the exact same thing to them as they're saying to you right now. But we've made so much progress. Can't you see how far we are? Why are you like this? I'm like, whoa, we in 2024. Those are the times we look back on in hindsight and say, oh, those were bad, weren't they? And they were thinking, well, look, you're not in the chains anymore. And guess what? You can be sure there were also black people who felt that same way about those revolutionaries. So when I heard this news, I woke up, I was just disappointed. I was like, I'm fighting for people who don't even want the freedom. I've got all these ideas, I've got all these plans, and they're so attached to that little bit of niceness, that little bit of, and you got to understand, I can't blame them, because the Western society do a great job of dangling it ahead of you. You know, sometimes it's there, you don't want to upset it. You feel that's like a relationship where you know you walk on thread. You don't want to upset it. That person who controls you with their moods, you don't want to upset it, huh? And this is it. And I purposely design my movement in such a manner where I say, I am here to disrupt it. Oh my goodness. What aren't you? Yes, I'm the bad guy. Newsflash, here we are. Here I am. Sorry to spoil the party. I'm here to uproot the whole garden. I'm here to do a conversion on the whole garden. I'm here to take out the flower beds. You ever see a conversion when it's being done in the backyard? It is messy. There's mud everywhere. There's everything everywhere. That's going to look like an ugly backyard for some weeks. You're going to drive past it thinking, oh, that's a messy backyard. But smart people, maybe a kid will look at it and say, that's messy. Smart people look at it and say, oh, I wonder what they're getting done there. So our parents, when we was kids, we'd be like, oh, that look like a, I don't know, like a, like they ain't got no money. The parents are looking at it thinking, geez, I want to do a conversion on my garden. So we need to mature Africans. You know, and I could go on all day, but if we are going to identify as African Irish or as African British or as African, you know, French or as African, like I said with the Mbappé example, let us go in here with a sense of strength. Elon Musk is not asking anybody nothing. Elon Musk is not asking no black person for permission. Neither were his ancestors, neither was his father, neither was his grandfather. It's his now, as far as he is concerned. And I feel this genuine when we force Dublin accents or we force British accents or we force, I don't know how the French or in the rest of them work, but we force these demeanors and it's become second nature that we don't even think we do it anymore. If you had asked me before 2020 and 2019 or 2016, do you force? I will tell you I don't force a Dublin accent. It is only now when I've gone in and stepped into consciousness and self-determination, I look back and say, boy, you was trying to be Irish. Boy, you thought you was ginger or something. And we've got to look in the mirror. We've got to look in the mirror. I could go on all day. There's so many avenues I could take this video. But I'm going to sign off there so we can take this little bit of a chunk and digest this message today. I thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will please like, share, and subscribe. But the main point here is today, my brothers and sisters, if we are going to get ourselves to a place where we identify in the places in which we were born and we were raised, let us not lose ourselves in the process. Let us not make this thing a god. And let us bless Europe with our presence, our very resilient and overcoming spirit, not a spirit of begging or clinging or desire to be accepted. And I can guarantee you, once you become a Negro that is demanding of your respect, whether you like it or not, ready to break the rules and push the boundaries, and like I said, disrupt and uproot the garden, I can guarantee you are not going to have the whole country waving your flag. And that's the bad news. Because they're not going to understand it neither. Because you're setting a new bar, you're setting a new standard that they're going to have to learn to swallow that very heavy and big pill. The pills we making them swallow here, small little baby pills. Okay, oh, that's a Negro that stays in his place, that's trying to be like me, copies me, trying to talk like me. I can sense he's trying to be one of me. Well then, assimilation to its best, this is not integration, it's assimilation, would never challenge me, would never challenge our ways of doing things, is more concerned about maintaining my peace with me or good dealings with me. Of course. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
And I'm on a mission for you.